3, 2, 1. What is going on, everybody? This is the Undefeated by Choice podcast brought to you by Still Fist. We are here today we are so close. We are so close to the October 19th fight card that we have all been waiting for. As you can see, I've got a guest here today with me, and he is fighting for the middleweight AMI title.
Yep.
Mr. Zack Partridge, how you doing, brother?
Good. How are you, man?
Excellent. So I've changed up the show a little bit. I don't really ask for I don't really do the whole nickname thing anymore. I don't really do the trash talk anymore, just because I've got a new setup and I don't have the tablet plugged in anymore for the trash talk. So If you do want to trash talk, it's all on you, man. You can put it in all you want. You can say anything you want. On the nickname, though, do you have a nickname?
Not really. I think they're kind of cheesy and they're kind of corny for some people. Some people it fits.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like a nickname's kind of earned.
Yeah.
You know, if some people gave you a nickname or whatever, that's one thing, and that's cool. And if something sticks, that's great. I'm not gonna give myself a nickname.
You're not gonna give yourself a nickname. I want to give you one, but I know you're gonna be mad. You'll probably punch me.
Probably not.
You'll probably be upset with it, but I really think you should just lean into the whole Partridge thing, and I think you should. I think that you should go with that, because here's the thing: is when you have a last name that I'm sure people gave you crap about, you've heard all the jokes, you've heard everything. When you have that, when you lean into it, it takes away all that bull crap. I mean, the fact that you can fight and you could probably smoke anybody who does make fun of you now, or give you crap about it now, but also just like leaning into it, I don't know. I think you should consider it.
It's not the worst idea I've heard. One of my sponsors, that Black Label company, I did a couple fights under them, I think, and he like made me, and he was adamant, and he's like, pick something.
Yeah. I
own a car detailing business, Detail Sharks.
Okay.
So I was like, we'll just like kind of co-brand type thing, and so I went with the shark.
Okay.
But
yeah.
I don't even like swimming in the ocean because of sharks. So
yeah. We can come up with something. I mean, I'm not even gonna give you any of my Partridge ones because
you got some?
No.
Okay.
I mean, they're nothing great. They're nothing. Right. They're the standards. Right. But I mean, I'm pretty sure anybody could guess which ones what I would go with. But the immediate look on your face is like, nah, I don't even want to go there. So I'm not even gonna broach it.
Kick them at me if you'd like.
No, maybe after the camera's turned off.
All right, sounds good.
I don't want to get embarrassed and have, because sometimes when I do them, and people are like, they're adamantly like, I hated that. I'm like, dude, I'm trying to help you out here, you know. Not everybody gets to have sweet nicknames, and I'm just trying to help out.
If a nickname, somebody says it and it sticks, I'll roll with it. But like I said,
you come from one of the biggest camps. I can't believe nobody has come up with one yet. No one's given you one yet. I mean, you have a whole gym full of people.
Aldo likes to call me the local Irish. The local Irish.
See,
like local, like
local Irish. Oh, see,
and so
that's a good one.
It's kind of cool, and that he's kind of always said that, and that's fun. But like, I'm not even Irish. Like, it's just because like when I started, I was a big Connor fan.
Oh,
and so that
interview's over. We're out of here. Connor fan.
Okay, it's kind of what sucked me into this.
Okay. All right.
So,
well, that's what was gonna be my first question, is what actually brought you into fighting. So go ahead, let's tell the story. Let's hear it.
So, honestly, it was so I have a buddy who kind of started putting. He's like, dude, you gotta watch this, and it was a little documentary on Connor's comeback right after he tore his ACL.
Okay.
And he's like, you gotta watch this guy. It's incredible. And I watched the Dennis Seaver fight, and dude, love him or hate him, but his charisma's pretty undeniable, right?
He's got charisma.
So it kind of sucked me in. Yeah. And then I'm like, man, this kind of cool. And then I went back and I started with season 1 of The Ultimate Fighter, and I watched all the old seasons of The Ultimate Fighter, and it just sucked me in, man.
Yeah.
And we were watching some fights. I messaged Tanner Hines. He just started at One Hit, kinda, and I'd known him from high school. We both went to Davis, and I was just like, hey man, like, where do you train and stuff? I want to get my kid into this. My son, who's now 7, he was 4, almost about 5, and so I wanted to get him into something to get him a little bit active.
Yeah.
And so what we did was I messaged Aldo basically over there, and I said, I want to get my kid going and doing some kickboxing and jiu-jitsu stuff. And so he started going funny enough, main event, Rowdy, he was there, so I'd go and watch my kid, and Rowdy was always there, hanging out at the gym, and he was the man. I was always talking to him. He's like, hey, I got a fight, come watch it.
Rowdy knows how to sell tickets.
Yeah, so I was like, cool, man. So me and my wife and my kids, we went and watched him at the complex when they were still doing them there, and I think Ben Moa fought on that card, Rowdy, Rico Valdez from One Hit, and a couple others, and I was hooked.
Was it his fight against Carl Grace?
I don't remember who he fought.
Okay.
Man.
Did he finish it in like the first round, first minute choke?
No.
Okay.
I actually think he lost that fight.
Okay. Well, I was just gonna say, if that was your first fight going to watching Rowdy fight, that would have been was my first fight watching Rowdy fight as well.
So but I mean, Ben Moa smoked the dude in the first round. It's kind of what he does. Rico smoked the dude, but I was hooked, and I was in the gym the next Monday myself.
Yeah.
I needed to get something. I was pushing 270 pounds. I was like 267, 268.
Been there.
And I was like, this is enough. And I'm like, I'm gonna just do this to get in shape.
Yeah.
And that's kind of how it started 2.5 years ago. I'd never done any wrestling. I'd never done anything. It was always kind of football, baseball, basketball for me growing up, and so it was something new.
Yeah,
it was fun.
So you grew up playing all these other sports. What from your other sports do you feel translated into MMA? Because I'm very similar background, or a very similar situation that you were in. Lost weight, went in and started training. Grew up playing every other sport other than fighting. I did do karate as a very young kid, but I've said on here it wasn't real like karate.
Yeah.
It wasn't real karate.
Like those YouTube guys.
I literally never did like a sparring again. I never threw a punch or a kick with someone standing in front of me, even light sparring. There was nothing. So I can attribute some of my fighting style to that, but really nothing else. Anyways, so what do you feel like transferred over from all the other sports you played, all the other practices you've ever been to? What transferred over into MMA?
The discipline, like in the training, the consistency. Showing up every day. Showing up every day. Like I notice it. I see it a lot, and I get it. It's part of it. Like injuries, we all have real life stuff. Like most of us are parents, spouses, kids, jobs, all that type of stuff. But it's something for me. It's like, it's if you're gonna take a fight, you're gonna get ready, game, fight, whatever. Like you got to put in the work. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So that commitment, I think, really like translated. Like growing up, a lot of it comes from my dad. A lot of it was if you sign up for something, you're committed to it. Like you don't miss practices. Like I didn't miss practice for stuff. Like I remember growing up, like church activities and stuff. I missed a lot of it, and I had a church leader ask me, hey, when are you going to get serious about coming to these activities? I said, when it's an off season from one of my sports, which was never, because it's football, baseball, basketball year round.
Yeah, everyone, yeah.
And so, right or wrong, it's like if you sign up for something, like that's what I do. And I'd say that mindset kind of instilled for me from my dad of just being dedicated to stuff. And I'm uber competitive. I mean, that's the most. I think that's what sucked me into the sport the most. I think it's the purest form of competition I've ever been a part of. All the other sports, team sports, right? Yeah. This just one-on-one. Like there's no teammates that can screw it up for you. Yeah. There's no teammates to save you. Yeah. You got your coaches in the corner trying to.
Yeah. If you're lucky enough to hear them,
give you a little bit, but man, it's all you. So I think that. I mean, football, the physicality, I enjoy that. That's pretty much it.
Are you at the point yet where in the fight you hear your coaches? Because I feel like it's.
So my first fight, I got rocked. I got head kicked in my first fight.
As an amateur?
Yeah. Who's
the ref? Who's the ref at?
Dave.
Dave.
Shin right to my jaw. Dropped me. I had no idea where I was. Don't even remember the fight. I've seen the video. Don't remember the fight.
Okay.
And I watched the Steel Fist commentary on it. I think the announcer said, well, if the ref feels like he leaned into it, like it was a body kick, and I kind of leaned a little bit, and it came over the top. But I talked with my opponent after, and I was like, head kicks are illegal, right? And he's like, no, had no idea. Oh. kind of the risk you get fighting some of those independent guys. But so he was aiming for it. He hit it, but whatever. Fight went on. I still won. But the one thing that I do remember recalling is I need to get this fight into my corner so that I could hear my coach. And we did. We got in this kind of weird body lock, and I literally just, the most unorthodox kind of just tried to throw him over in that corner. Still had no idea where I was. Pretty wobbly. But my coach, he walked me right through taking us back and sinking in a rear naked choke. And so I try to be pretty mindful of making sure if we're somewhere, if I can dictate it, that it happens in my corner.
I always wonder, like, at what point does that kick in? My first and only fight, I didn't hear a single word that my corner said the entire time. They could have been telling me anything. I kind of do actually remember at one point hearing Eric Munoz go, "Don't take him down," and that's exactly what I tried to do, is take him down. So I do kind of remember that, but I've been in the corner for other fighters, and I've one of my close friends at corner, he just had a fight, and he was like, I could hear everything that you guys are saying, every single word. Last 2 fights, he said, I could hear every single word you guys said. No matter where I was at in the cage, I could hear you guys give me direction. And I know, so I mean, that puts a lot on the coaching at that point. But you come from a great camp with good coaches. Go ahead, give a shout out. Let's talk about your camp, who you're training with, just everything you've got going there, who your main coaches are you're working with, and everything that.
Always Aldo, right? I do some one-on-ones with him. I usually get ready for fights, but he's like family to me now. I love that guy. I trust my kid with him. We have him over to the house when we can. So I do a lot of work with him. Try and get some work in with Jarrett Kelton. We do a lot of jiu-jitsu with Gustavo has been coming up a little bit more. That's Aldo's brother-in-law. LJ Schultz, you'll see him in my corner. He's been a big part of this camp, especially, but he's been one of the more mainstay coaches. We've had a lot of jiu-jitsu coaches come through. Lucas Montoya was with us for a little bit. He helped my jiu-jitsu game a lot. But this camp specifically, I'd say, it's mostly been LJ and Aldo and Jarrett. Yeah,
you've got a few fights. With wins with the rear naked choke. Two fights with the rear naked choke.
Yep.
I mean, is that something that just happens, or is that something you've got something in you that can land, that you just feel more comfortable there, you feel better there, or is it just like the opportunity was there and you took it?
It's something that for MMA, not having a background, there's a couple things that I feel like I've just kind of picked up on and I have a knack for. And in practice and stuff, I kind of feel like that's kind of one of the things that I like to go to. I don't know. When they turtle up and they give it, like I think in a fight
you'll find it.
I can find it.
Yeah.
I don't need to go after anything else.
Yeah. Is that would you say jiu-jitsu is one of your main focuses when you're, every fight, of course, we all want to be well-rounded, right? But then we always have that one thing that we're like, dude, this is practice day.
Man, my jiu-jitsu sucked forever.
Yeah.
Like, going to my first fight, when I finished him with the rear naked choke, Jason Vandermeil was one of my main training partners there at One Hit. He's never fought, but he's just been there a long time. He has a lot of experience, helped me a lot. And he was like, that was the last way I would have thought the fight would ever win. He said it was either you were going to knock him out, get knocked out, go to decision for either way, he'd submit you, and the very last way that it would end is you submitting him. Yeah. It's like, I got submitted by everybody. I was terrible, so it was, I thought of myself in my head as more of like, I'd like to stand and bang, meathead.
Yeah.
It just doesn't work out that way. And so I started putting a lot of time, and I really felt like when Lucas was there, my jiu-jitsu kind of went to another level. And I'm all about, like, if this fight wants to go on the ground, like, I'm super comfortable there now.
Yeah. I feel like in these local shows, and especially in the amateur ranking, rankings. The ground game is probably one of the things that people focus on least, but it's probably the most important, because I feel like at this level on these shows, like the ground, it's so likely that the fight is going to go to the ground. So when I hear people that, I see so many high level strikers in the amateur rankings, but I'm like, the fight's probably going to go to the ground though. So you better be working ground game.
I mean, my teammate Tanner Hines, one of my main training partners. He's probably one of my best friends there at the gym. He's a monster, right?
no question there.
Knocks out everybody. Knocked out Cole Schaefer, who's, you could argue is probably one of, if not the best 185er in the state. And their fight was awesome.
Yeah, that was an exciting fight to watch.
Awesome to be in that corner for that fight for Tanner. But the one time he's lost, he Marco Sanchez, who's a super high level jiu-jitsu guy, right, took his back because Tanner doesn't really do jiu-jitsu, and it's like,
don't say that out loud. If you watch this,
Tanner knows. Like, I love him to death, and he's been better, and he comes a little bit more. But like at that point, like he hadn't done any jiu-jitsu, and it was like, because he's like, I'll just knock him out. Yeah. He's a freak athlete, and when I say freak, he's a freak of the freak athlete.
Oh yeah, and, so explosive, powerful.
His hands are so super quick, but
and he's got a chin on him too, because Cole rocked him
twice.
Yeah. And Cole doesn't hit soft. Cole hits hard, and Tanner recovered both times quickly. So that's he's a dangerous man.
But I mean, it's like the prime example. The one time somebody finally did get him to the ground, it was kind of he didn't know what to do. Yeah, and he made a mistake, and it just kind of is what it is. But I think he's learned from it, and he's at least got enough of a base now to make sure that doesn't happen again. But that's kind of where you
even good takedown defense is
kind of where you have a big step. I mean, look at Israel Adesanya, right? He's a great striker, but that was his whole thing, is make sure nobody can take him down. So he's one that I'm lukewarm on. Yeah, I have not been sold on him yet. No? I love watching him fight. His personality is starting to wear on me. I'm big. He's gonna get to that Conor level.
I'm big on personalities, and that's why I do really like the situation that I'm in working with the local fighters, is because you don't get these blown up heads. Most everybody
you can't make any money from it, right?
Yeah, exactly. There's you can kind of sell a fight, and there are big personalities, but it's not to the point where like most everybody is still kind of level-headed and still like down to earth, and that's what's fun for me. I mean, I just did the interview with Justice and Justin. Those two are characters, man. They're hilarious. They're so fun, and they do want to talk trash. They do like want to sell their fight. They do want to get their names out there, but they also they can talk to each other and say, hey, we're going to talk some trash. This is what we're doing, and they're level-headed enough to get it. And it's not like I have Justice sitting here, and once the cameras are out, he's like, I hate him, I want to kill him. Like it's still like,
it's all good.
Yeah, we're gonna fight. That's level-headed at the end of the day. We're gonna fight.
So we were talking about it at the gym this morning. I went and trained this morning, and Crone Gracie, there's an interview that just came out with him. He's fighting this weekend,
Oh, yeah.
Really cool. He's like old school, right? Like
100%.
Respect, loyal, like whatever. He's not looking to talk anything, do all that. And Aldo said it's the way it should be. Yeah. And I agree, it is the way it should be. But if I 100% believe that if that was what sold fights and brought in, quote unquote, the casuals, right? Yeah. Let's hear that. The casuals, then I think that's the way Conor would be.
Yeah.
Because you've seen interviews where he's a little more down to earth and he's not putting on this WWE character, right? Yeah. And it's the same with Adesanya. Like, I think if they, if that's what sold fights, and there's more people that just love the loyal honor, respect, and the millions were gonna buy the pay-per-views because look at these two, like, supreme athletes with respect and honor. Like, if that's what sold fights, I think that's how they would be. Right. But unfortunately, it's not. I think the fans as a whole is what dictates those actions.
Yeah. I think it's both. Okay. So and this is why I love MMA over boxing, because boxing, you have the main event, and that's pretty much all you hear about. You have the undercard, but no one really is paying attention to it. You never know who's on it. It's rare occasions that it's like, oh, this is a stacked card. you know?
Yeah.
And so boxing, if you have a big personality, the casuals are all over it because they're like, oh, this guy talks all this trash, blah, blah, blah. And then you have the loyals that are like, you know, he just comes in, gets the job done, and they watch that fighter.
Sure.
So in MMA, you can get both. You can have the main event, which is two loudmouths or two respectful guys, going to go in, but then you have 2 or 3 people on the undercard who are talking trash, selling the fight. Sure. So that's why I love MMA, is because every card you can have a good mixture of both on one single card. And the reason I get frustrated with the talkers is that they overshadow everybody. So if you have a Conor McGregor or an Israel on a card, all media goes to them and maybe some to their opponent if their opponent's game enough to talk back.
Sure.
And then the respectful fighters, they all get swept under the rug and they disappear because it's all about the showman and the guy who's got the charisma and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, there are fans who hate that. There are fans who don't want to hear that. If they could still put as much attention on the guys that are like respectfully like, hey, this is like a Robbie Lawler who's just like, hey, this is gonna be a good fight. We're gonna go in. We're gonna throw punches. I get just as excited for a Robbie Lawler fight as I do for an Israel Adesanya fight.
Yeah, well, and I think it's because you're a more educated fan of the whole thing.
I hope so.
Like for me, like I said, like that 10-minute interview with Kern Gracie, that got me just as hyped to watch that fight with him and Cub Swanson. Which you don't need interviews to get hyped to watch that fight.
No,
right?
no.
But the way he was, I was like, man, that dude's awesome.
Yeah.
Like that 10-minute interview, I haven't really watched a ton of interviews or anything with him, but like it made, I'm like, I'm not missing that fight now because of the way he was.
Yeah.
I don't think there's very many people that are that way. They got to see the,
Yeah, no.
Who is that guy?
Yeah, no, you're right, and so that's why the loudest, whatever, the squeaky wheel gets the oil or whatever. Like, yeah, the loudmouths are gonna get it, and the ones that aren't like exciting. But then, but that's why it's our responsibility. And this is again why I love local shows, and this is why I work with Still Fist, is that this is all about educating those fans. Like, you come out to a Still Fist fight and you're watching these guys fight, and you're in the crowd with people who are probably newer to MMA and especially newer to local MMA, and that's how you get to educate them. Is you get to watch these fights and be like, oh, like you get to see the difference between an amateur fight and a professional fight, and this guy, he's got the skills to take it to the next level, and then you can really educate fans. And this is why I'm like, I've always been like, I go to a Buffalo Wild Wings on a UFC fight night and it's packed, and I know every single Buffalo Wild Wings in Utah is absolutely packed. For sure. Why are these fans not out at the local fights? Why are we not having people hanging from the rafters out of the Still Fist card? Because we have fight fans here in Utah, but I think most of them are the casuals, or the not as, I don't want to say not as educated, but just not as familiar with what MMA is truly all about.
I think this podcast will help, but if you want me to be totally honest, as a businessman and as a business owner, I own a couple businesses. I don't think fighters are the greatest at selling the fights.
Yeah, no, you're right. Well, yeah.
Just posting your picture as your profile picture and say, hey, hit me up for tickets, like that doesn't get it done.
You're speaking to my soul right now. I always, I tell them that all the time. That's not how it works, and I'm always like, can I hold a seminar on how to promote yourself as a fighter?
Yeah, so I mean, perfect example of this, right? So one of my sponsors, who sponsors another fighter, he said, hey, we want tickets for your fight. I'm like, hey, you guys want to sponsor me for this fight? Shout out Big O and Bountiful. Big O Tires and Bountiful.
I used to work at Big O Tires.
Yeah,
I was slinging tires for a bit.
Tyler, my man Tyler at Big O, there. We've been cool, and I live in Kaysville. I take all my stuff to him. I trust that guy. Like, he's great, and so we've kind of built a pretty good relationship over the past little while. And came to my last fight and says, you guys want to sponsor it? And he's like, yeah, man, let's do it. And I said, cool. X amount for this, X amount for this, X amount for this. What package do you want?
Yeah. Yeah.
And he was like, cool. And he took the biggest one, and they did it, and we get their stuff on my shirt, and it's gonna be great.
Yeah.
And he said, and he sponsored another fighter that's fought for Steel Fist and stuff in the past, and he was like, how much is sponsorship? And that fighter was like, I don't know, man. I don't know, maybe like a couple $100 or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, all right, I'll give you a couple $100. And he's like, if he would have came with me with like a packages or like knew what he wanted out of it, he would have got a lot more. Like I'm not gonna say how much, but I mean, I got almost 4 times the amount that guy did.
Yeah. There is a technique to it and every fighter needs to look at themselves as an independent contractor. Like you're going out trying to get deals. You got to sell yourself, and it's so easy with fighting. And maybe this is, if someone listening to this who is a fighter who wants to know some of the tricks, like here's the deal: is most everybody, you look at some of the biggest I guess independent Instagram accounts or anything, people that are getting paid, they're usually in the fitness realm.
For sure.
Nobody is more excited about the type of fitness than watching like fighters train. You see someone shadow boxing, breaking sweat, you're like, oh, I could do that, and just all sorts of things like that. And so like people are already wanting to pay attention to you. If you add something along to that, like a sponsorship, and say, this is a product that I use that helps me, people are going to buy it. I mean, I know there's a jiu-jitsu artist here in Utah that I follow and I'm friends with, and she was posting about CBD oils. Guess which CBD oil I bought? Guess whose promo code I used? And how many CBD oils are out there that everybody swears by? But she's one that I follow, a person that I respect, and so I was like, oh, and this helps her out. Boom, done. All because she posts commonly about her product and what she uses and stuff like that.
So any fighters out there, if you want any tips or whatever, message me. Maybe I'll become like a fighter consultant on how to get sponsorships.
Yeah,
I've helped a couple guys out with my gym. I'm an insurance agent. I'm a full-time insurance agent too. I'm sponsoring Justin Horsley this card. I've talked to other fighters about it. It's not just one hit, guys. Like if you're a fighter that I'm into and I think's a good fighter, like I'm down. But fighters, you got to know your worth. Take advantage of this platform that you have, and and if any of you guys want any ideas or whatever, feel free to message me or any other fighters that know what they're doing. And not that I know what I'm doing as a fighter, but I know the business side of it a little bit.
I've thought about doing that a few times. I've thought about approaching the fighters that fight for Steel Fist and saying, listen, we're gonna do a fighter summit, and I'm gonna teach you guys how to use social media to your advantage to make money. I'm pretty busy, so I haven't put that together yet. But that's one thing, man, and it's gonna bring out more fans. It's gonna bring out. It's gonna do it's gonna help everybody, and so I've thought about doing that. Maybe someone should do that. But anyways, we've gotten off way far. But no, this is perfect. But we have to talk about this fight coming up.
Sure.
October 19th against Scott Devlin. This is a rematch.
It is.
So your first fight was a year and a few months ago. Do you remember much about that fight? You won by decision, correct?
Yeah, I remember the whole fight.
Okay. What was it like? I guess walk us through it.
So the first round, it was a little bit, I don't know. I thought I clearly won 2 of the 3 rounds. 2 of the judges actually gave me all 3 rounds. I threw a body kick right in the beginning of the first round. And I kind of slipped on that Vapor Mania logo. It gets a little slick, I guess. News to me. I didn't even try and throw a kick. I don't think my last fight, but I slipped on it, and it kind of caught me in a head and arm guillotine. It pretty much just held me there for like a minute and a half. I wasn't really in trouble, but he was just kind of cranking. The pressure was there, but it wasn't a choke, and I wasn't. So I just stayed busy, just trying to punch him in the head blindly, punch him in the body, give the thumb up to the ref when he asked if I'm good down there, and I just tried to stay active as much as I could. And 2 of the judges thought that me at least staying active and him kind of just pretty much holding me in a headlock was good enough to give me the round.
Okay.
Second round I thought was close, could have gone either way, but I felt like I definitely got the better of the exchanges, and he probably won the positions better, but he never did anything with his positions. Had a pretty good armbar attempt, couldn't finish it in the 3rd round, I think, but I pieced him up pretty good in the 3rd round. Felt really good about the exchanges on the feet, hands down, Probably outstruck him at least 10-1. Judge's decision came. I was pretty surprised when I heard 2 of the judges gave me the first round, because I kind of chalked it in my head. I went to the end of the first round, went into the corner going, I lost that round because he was in the dominant position.
Yeah.
But I was more active, so whatever. And I do remember he wasn't happy with the decision. I heard that he was going to try to appeal the decision, which, whatever.
Yeah.
Never's going to happen. And we happened to be friends on Facebook, and I saw a lot of his comments about the fight and stuff, and I kind of put that in my back pocket, and it bugged me that I didn't get the finish in that fight. Tough kid, super tough. Took some of my best shots in the 3rd round. Couldn't put him away, but I think I did enough to win that fight, and part of the reason why the rematch was kind of appealing to me when my original opponent had to back out due to an injury. The rematch was appealing to me because, one, I feel like we had a little unfinished business. He thought he won. I felt strongly that I won. I didn't get the finish. I didn't put him away like I should have and wanted to.
Yeah.
And he's on a 3-fight win streak now. His last win was against my teammate and one of my best friends, Kyle Frazier. I was in his corner for that fight, and I knew he's been kind of moving down. His last fight was at 170, and so he's kind of coming up, and I'm coming down. This is my first time actually getting to 185.
Yeah.
And so I felt like this is probably our only shot to, be in a
finish
position.
finish this business.
Yeah, well, it has to make sense, right? The fight has to make sense. Like, if I'm 3-0, 4-0, whatever, and he's on a losing streak, it doesn't really make sense for us to fight again. But if he's on a 3-fight winning streak, and he said a couple things on social media that I even replied back on social media. I'm like, dude, Kyle's been in his corner for fights, and he said some things. I was like, what are you doing? Like, he asked for that fight. He kind of called him out. I thought that was weird. I actually cornered him for his Kenny Kinch fight. I was in Scott's corner for that fight.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, we were cool, but I thought the timing made sense and I told Pat, I'm like, if it worked out, I'd fight him again.
Yeah.
And I knew he wasn't happy about the decision, so I thought that he'd fight me again. My opponent backed out due to an injury. Sure it was legit. Brian Curtis, super tough guy. Wish him a speedy recovery, but it got me pretty amped to finish that.
So there's no question that you're pretty excited for this one.
I'm stoked. I mean, belt on the line or not, this was kind of a fight I won. I feel like we had some unfinished business, and I think in my original post I promised that it wouldn't go to decision again, and he commented on there for sure it wouldn't. So that's good.
Yeah. So we talked about your jiu-jitsu game. Scott is also one who's known a little bit for finishing fights due to submission.
Yeah, he's 4-3, and I think all 4 of his wins have been by submission.
Yeah. So I mean, is this a fight that we're going to see some groundwork on, or is this something you want to keep standing? You mentioned that you feel that you outstruck him by leaps and bounds in this last fight. So is that the goal, or what's the plan?
It's a fight in an MMA cage. I don't care. I mean, if he wants to stand, and if he's been working on his striking and he wants to stand with me, and that's where he wants to see how it goes, I'm totally confident that I'm going to get the finish this time and knock him out. If it goes to the ground, and I'm sure it will, and I'm sure he's going to tell everybody that he's going to get to the ground and try and submit me. He tried really hard last time to submit me. I've improved my jiu-jitsu leaps and bounds since the last time we fought, and I think he's in for a surprise if it goes to the ground.
All right. Okay. So anybody, let's ask this question. Anybody who has not been to a Zack Partridge fight, anybody who's not had the pleasure of watching you inside the cage, what do they have to look forward to?
I won't quit. I've been in trouble in all 3 of my fights. Scott, he had me in an armbar that, I'm gonna be honest, he should have finished it. I don't know why he didn't. My arm should have been either broke or I should have tapped. I mean, he had it for a good 10 to 12 seconds and he couldn't finish it. But my last fight with Elias, I heard he's fighting again soon. Good luck. He's good. He's a really good dude. Our very first exchange, he cracked me and split me open on my brow there, and it was the first time I'd been cut like that in a fight. He had my back and was going for a rear naked choke in the first round. I mean, I've And then my first fight, obviously, I told you I got a head kick.
Yeah.
Don't even remember the fight.
Yeah.
So, you know, I've been in trouble in all 3 of my fights. I won't quit. I will not quit in a fight. And so if you want to see somebody to leave it all out there with their heart, I'm as competitive as they come. I think I hate losing more than I enjoy winning. So I mean that's what you're gonna get.
Awesome. So you have all your fights been for Still Fist? I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah, I just want to make that pretty clear too. Like I'm not going anywhere either. I'm a pretty loyal guy. Still Fist has been great to me. I don't see any reason to go anywhere else. There's a couple other local promotions that, you know, I don't really have any interest in fighting for. Kevin and Pat have been nothing but great and respectful to me, fair on everything. They've always been good with me. Tough Enough, big amateur promotion. They hit me up, and I mean, that would be cool to fight in Vegas or whatever.
Yeah.
And I get that, but you know, I feel like there's a little loyalty there to Still Fist and Kevin and Pat, and I've had a booth at their show for my insurance business, and I'm not. I'm pretty realistic with things too. You know, I'm not going to go pro. I'm not going to the UFC. I turned 31 2 days after this fight. I've only been in this game for 2.5 years.
You're still a young buck.
You know, I'm not. You know, I'm a husband. I'm a father. I'm a business owner. This is my hobby. So this isn't something that I'm trying to, you know, make my name on by any means. I love it, but there's no really reason for me to go anywhere else but Still Fist.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that, man. I love hearing that. We, you know, loyalty. We understand what this is. You know, as you know, the 2 owners, Kevin and Pat, and being involved with it myself and spending as much time as them as I do. We understand what this is, but there's a big thing to loyalty and being trustworthy, and you know, hearing fighters that come in and enjoy working with us. It means everything, because you guys are what keep the lights on. I mean, the fans, you guys bringing in the fans is what keeps the lights on. You know, you guys putting on a show, you guys coming in, putting your life, your you know, your time, your heart, everything you have on the line to come out and fight for us and put on a show, and then bring fans out to enjoy it as well, and be respectful and do what you guys do. You know, we owe it all to you guys, but it's nice to hear when those feelings are reciprocated.
Yeah, they might get a little sick of me. I was complaining to them last night that they did weigh-in. They're doing weigh-ins outside.
Oh yeah, and it's freezing
in October. I'm like, dude, and Pat tells me, he goes, it's high of 60 degrees. It's perfect sweater weather. I'm like, dude, I'm in my underwear on a scale. There's no sweaters there, man.
Well, if anybody,
let's fight at 190 and let me wear my hoodie.
If any building wants to, you know, open their doors to us and not charge us some stupid amount to you know, to come in and stand in our underwear on a scale, then we'd be happy to go inside. But you know, the park doesn't charge us, and you know, it's one of those things. Fine. Yeah, it's one of those things. Like, do you want, you know, better promotion or better whatever things at the fight, you know, whatever lighting and you know, things at the fight. But yeah, no, I see. It sucks for me because, like, you know, I got to stand there from the beginning to the end. After you weigh in, technically you can leave. I got to stay there till the lights shut off. So yeah, I get what you're saying on that.
I'm a tough guy who will fight in a cage, but I don't want to stand out in 50-degree weather.
Screw the cold, man. I'm not about underwear. The cold. I'm not about the cold. Zach, do you have anybody that you want to thank? It sounds like you got plenty of sponsors. You got people you want to thank, sponsors you want to thank, anything you want to do before we get out of here?
You know, Damage Plan picked me up for this fight. I appreciate Jason, and he supports a lot of fighters out there. You know, if you ever have any like printing needs or whatever for apparel, shirts, he came up with some dope shirts for me.
That's pretty sick.
I had another sponsor, Natalie. She Battle. Oh man, now I feel bad. Should have looked it up. It's Battle.
That's all right. You can say her name after the fight in the cage when you're doing it on the mic.
And I just went and picked this up today, but my initials with my hat on it. She had these done for me. And if you go onto my Facebook, you can get links to my shirts and my hats. All my hats, I think all the profits are going towards suicide awareness.
Awesome.
From this, so I don't plan on making anything from these hats. But if you go buy them, you know that the profits are going to a good cause. And she's awesome and super supportive of me. And you know, my business partner, my car detailing company, Detail Sharks, my wife, my kids, like, you know, my wife and my kids, they're the ones that make the real sacrifice, right?
Yeah.
I'm training 2, sometimes 3 times a day now for almost 13 weeks. I've been signed for this fight, and I can count on my fingers how many nights I've missed. So it hasn't been much, and they put up with a lot to do that. So I appreciate it, and I just appreciate Steel Fist and all the time that everybody puts in with me at One Hit. I got a lot of good training partners, a lot of good coaches. It's going to be fun. I'm ready. It's my first time being under 200 pounds since I was like 19. I've worked really hard. It's been a good camp. Weight cuts right on track. Like everything's good. My cardio's sick. Like it's good. I'm ready for 5 rounds.
Perfect. Awesome. Before we go, we don't really do the trash talking anymore, but I do get quotes from fighters. I do get lines from fighters. So do you have anything specifically you want to say to Scott before you step into the cage with him?
Like man to man, I know he's going to bring it. He's been going through his own struggles, I know personally, and man to man, I respect that, and I have all the compassion and sympathy in the world for him for that. But on October 19th, I have a job to do and to get done, and personal stuff doesn't matter once you're in there. You're going to see who put in the work. We're going to see who put in the work, and I'm not losing this fight.
All right, thank you, man. I'd love to hear it. I'm excited for this fight. I'm excited for all this fights. This card is awesome. It's gone through some changes. It's gone through. You were a victim of a change in the fight, and it's gone through a lot. But still, Kevin and Pat still are able to pull together awesome fights. I'm so excited for this card. So everybody, October 19th, make sure you make it out to Stillfist. Get your tickets at stillfistfightnight.com or Stillfist Fight. Sorry, get your tickets at stillfistfight.com. Also, if you're a fan of Zach or Scott or of anybody on the card, make sure you buy tickets from them. Every time you buy tickets from a fighter, it helps them directly. So if you can find a fighter, get tickets from them. If you cannot, go to stillfistfight.com. You can find us on iTunes, iHeartRadio, YouTube under the Undefeated by Choice podcast. You can find us on Instagram at stillfistfight and on Facebook at stillfistfight night. Everybody, thank you for your time. Make sure you like, subscribe, and share. Be good to yourself. Be good to each other. I love you.